Texas A&M at home versus Alabama. They lost this game 26-20. Uh, I'll read some stats that Bama had. 23 rushing yards. You can see it on the screen right there. The running backs, though, you might think like, okay, there's 6 sacks. A lot of that's negative rushing yards. Okay, the running backs still only average 3 yards a carry, right? 9 false start penalties, 14 total penalties, 6 sacks given up on offense. But guess what? All they needed was 4 drives where they moved the ball effectively. 4 drives where they absolutely outcoached Texas A&M offensively.
Tommy Reese.
Look,
Tommy Reese outcoached DJ Durkin.
yes, and look, I'm going to talk about DJ Durkin and I'm going to talk about Bobby Petrino before I talk about Jimbo here, okay? Because I think all 3 of them got outcoached this game, all 3 of them. But let's talk about DJ Durkin. I mean, Jimbo in the press conference said that, hey, what are we doing to help out Josh DeBerry, right? Who early on the season I was pretty high on because he was playing really physical and he still was physical this game. Just in coverage, it just doesn't happen for him, whatever. And you're seeing him get burnt, right? And you're like, how do we help him? And DJ Durkin goes, well, Jimbo says, well, DJ started, we put him in zone, right, to really help him out. He still gave up 70 yards on guys that he was covering in the second half. So that did nothing. That adjustment that you made didn't do anything. You got outcoached. That's what it was right there. You made the switch to Deuce Harmon late. Didn't matter. He was still getting torched too. In what world does Jermaine Burton have 197 yards and 2 touchdowns against Texas A&M's defense? In no world. In no world with Jalen Milroe as the quarterback should not be the case ever.
And people are talking about like, oh, he's wide receiver 1 now. No, he's not. He's been a bust for Bama in the transfer portal for 2 years now. He's had drop problems. He's had character problems, right? Maybe not character problems. I want to speculate on anything like that. But you've heard bad stuff come out of there, right? Effort problems, whatever it is. And he was unstoppable, right? And he made some good plays. Obviously, credit to him.
Yeah.
He's
he made some really
I don't want to
plays.
take anything away from him. He deserves the spotlight he's getting right now. I'm happy for him. But again, like it's not like Marvin Harrison Jr., right? If you're Georgia last year and Ohio State does that to you, like it happens, that's whatever. But this is Jermaine Burton, this is Jalen Milroe, and this is a passing offense has not been successful. And guess what? You stop the run. Right? Like A&M, A&M couldn't run the ball because their line was not playing well either. But
terrible. Bama, they played terrible.
Yeah, but you stop the run, and you talk about all those stats early in the game, and you expect to win, and that's the frustrating part, I'm sure, for A&M fans alike, is that not only was this game theirs to be had at home, where you outplayed them, you felt like in key statistics, right? But then the rest of the SEC West and the SEC and the playoff picture, like I don't know how many people were really expecting a playoff berth for this team this year, but the talent is there to do it. No doubt about that. Nobody's ever questioned that. And the opportunity was there. And I don't want to say all is lost for them, but I do think, I do know that it's incredibly frustrating and demoralizing for the fan base. And I hope it doesn't carry over the team, because you could see a game like this snowballing into, more than one loss. You cannot let Bama beat you more than once. And we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'll let you continue. Sorry.
No, you're all good. And look, I'll talk about Petrino just for a second. Alabama's defense is insane. All right. I'm not going to put like Max Johnson was holding on to the ball. Like he was not ready for this game. The offensive line was really terrible. Steve Dazio, that might be more on Steve than Bobby Petrino. But the reality was, as a head coach, you need your job and only job in the game, right, is to give your team the best chance to win. Right? Jimbo on multiple occasions, down to down, did not do that in terms of managing this game. At the end of the first half, you have 2 timeouts. And first of all, you didn't use any, right? To like when Alabama had the ball, right? To get more time left on the clock. And you had the ball with a minute left, 2 timeouts, and you don't try to score? Or you didn't use those timeouts earlier to get more time on the clock to try to score? Like, what were you doing? You were up 7. I get it. You were at home and you were outplaying Bama in that moment, but you're up 7 against Alabama. Like, what? In what world do you not try to score there? Oh, it's too risky. No, that give your team
I will
trust your
say
team.
I do disagree with the call. I do absolutely believe this, but I want in terms of what Jimbo was thinking, I do genuinely believe like first of all, I think he's a little dumbfounded how this outcome happened. I think he genuinely believed that his team, you line him up against Bama. I think he thinks that his team is literally better, right? And now the coaching staff, right, did not play up to that standard, right? So they didn't put their team in the best spots to win here. But I do think that he was like content with the 7 point lead. And the problem is in college football and sports and life in general, like content is very dangerous. To being content is very, very dangerous, right? And that lets things come back to bite you. And not pushing the button, not pushing your team and giving like you could imagine you on kick field there. Cal Field is already rowdy. I'm sure you know about that. But like that just does so much for the moxie of your team and for the confidence of Jalen Milroe, double-digit lead. And then you came out, you got a pick on the first, drive of their half, and then it was just all downhill from that.
Yeah, and then how about 4th and 1 on Bama's 44? You had a chance to you're down in the game, by the way. And I think punting it there is ridiculous because you know what Bobby Petrino's doing up there? He's calling that, right? Like knowing that he's got 4 downs. He called that play knowing he has 4 downs, right? And he was ready to dial up another play. I can only imagine the arguments after the game with Bobby Petrino. Now, I'm not gonna say Bobby Petrino did awesome, right? 5 trips to the red zone, 13 points. Unacceptable for the offense, right? Unacceptable. That's how you lose. That's how you lose games like this, right? And then at the end of the game, right there, are you kidding me? You burn a timeout there on the 2 yard line, 4th and goal, just to kick the field goal and then kick the onside kick. Like, so many things are wrong with that. So many things are wrong with that. I get it. Like, now, granted, if Jimbo does all those things differently, right? Like, does that necessarily change the outcome of the game? I don't know that it does. I don't know that it does. But all I know is that he did not give his team the best chance to win. And the rest of his coaching staff also got absolutely outcoached. Credit Jalen Milroe, had a fantastic game. He was getting bullied in the backfield by his defensive line. Walter Nolan had his. Ezrin Cooper had his as a linebacker. Torian York, I thought, played pretty decent. Jalen Milroe stood in there. He got absolutely rocked by Ezrin Cooper one play. He was slow to get up. And you don't see Jalen Milroe. Jalen Milroe is not slow to get up normally. And he got back up and threw dimes, dude. He threw dimes to the same corner every single time, granted, but they're still threw dimes. So this was a game that was lost by the Texas A&M coaching staff. But Bama did execute. They did execute. Credit Kevin Steele. Credit Tommy Rees, who it's crazy that Tommy Rees has been outcoached by every single defensive coordinator that he's played against this season, except Mississippi State, right? Who they just threw the ball 12 times against, right? They didn't have to do anything, right? And DJ Durkin. That's all I'm gonna say. Those are the only 2 defensive coordinators he's actually truly outcoached this year, given talent gap differences, right? I mean, I get wild. So I'm not saying that game was DJ Durkin's fault. I'm saying it was a collective coaching disaster from Texas A&M. Adam, the 12th man, 9 false start penalties. 9. It was the 3rd largest attendance in Cal Field history, 108,000. That's ridiculous. And you're going to put that out on the field. You're not going to give the best team a chance. You're not going to give your team the best chance to win the ball game. That's crazy.
No, I think you hit pretty much everything I want to talk about. Obviously kind of nailed it all. I do want to mention one last point here in terms of just like key plays that Bama made and that A&M had chances to make, right? And they didn't. Specifically on 3rd down, obvious passing situations, which going into the game, I talked about earlier, that was the key for A&M to win on 1st and 2nd down and to let those pass rushers go up and feast against Jalen Milroe, who does not have great pocket presence, who has not seen defenses very well, and then also your freaky athletic D-line to go up against, big dudes on the O-line that are not great in pass pro, right? And yes, they still got pressure, but they didn't quite get home. 3rd and 12, right? I believe it was at the end of the 1st quarter, right? On that touchdown drive where they had the big long pass of Isaiah Bond on beginning 2nd quarter. But at the end of the 1st quarter, it was 3rd and 12, and you couldn't get off the field there, right? Led to a touchdown drive. In the 2nd half, right? not only after the interception and then the other interception Max Johnson threw after that. I don't want to get into that. Like that's a totally separate issue. Another missed opportunity there for A&M. It's 3rd and 14, right? Bama's driving down, can stop him for a field goal and stop the bleeding, except Milroe scrambles out and throws a dime to Burton. And obviously, it's a great play by both those players. But again, you'd like to get off the field there. And then the next drive Bama had 3rd and 9 again. And then Milroe had another pass to Burton. So like, and those 3 plays, you reverse any 3 of those, and it's a totally different outcome of the game. I'm not saying A&M automatically wins, but it's a totally different fourth quarter in the last 10 minutes of that game. But obviously, in terms of Bama and what this means for them, that's a really impressive win, right? This is a very physical, a very good, talented A&M team that's playing really good football right now, regardless of the coaching. The players on the field right now are playing really hard and really well. And Bama went into a hostile environment, which they have not done well. And despite all the adversity they faced in the game, they made plays and they won. And I think that shows a lot about Jalen Milroe, a lot about the team, this new identity, the coaching staff, right? The resurgence of Bama football, which we haven't seen maybe in 3 years from now, since 3 years ago. And you're starting to see that. And obviously, this is Armageddon, right? 4 weeks ago, after week 2, and Texas came into your building and kind of dismantled you. But now it's a much different feeling, a much different tone about Bama, where it's like you look around the rest of the SEC West, and yes, LSU got a nice win on the road, but nobody scares you, especially when you host Tennessee and you host LSU, and Auburn is not a very good football team right now. Those are only other tests that you have. And then you got to beat Georgia. Right? You give Saban one game that he has to win, and he goes playoff. Like that's very, very incredible for what we thought it was going to be this year, and then what it was in week 2, and now back to where it is. You want to talk about A&M's outlook for this year? I feel like you just
their toughest games are on the road. Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU. Good luck. Good luck on the road, Jimbo. Good luck.